Good morning, welcome back out to the shop. This weekend I had to tackle another little project I've been putting off and putting it off. Matter of fact, probably been putting it off for 25 years since we've lived here. I've always hated our well house cover. I shouldn't say hated. You know, it serves a purpose and it did very well. It's just one of those green fiberglass covers, got the spray foam insulation in it. So I decided that, or I asked my wife, and we decided that an upgrade was ready or due. I'm getting older, and you know, eventually it's going to have to be replaced. And if you ever have to do any well work in your pump or your tank, or you need to check the air pressure, whatever, it's just a pain in the butt. So we've been putting it off, and so this weekend I'm going to build a new well house cover. Sort of build it like an outhouse maybe style, maybe, I don't know. We're going to play it by ear. It's roughly 5 foot by 6 foot, and it's going to be wood with probably a reverse board and batten on it, unless I can find some yellow pine knotted boards or some western cedar boards or something like that won't rot around this area. So, and then we might whitewash it or something, but we'll see. Either board and batten or reverse board and batten plywood, one of the two. Insulate it very well, and then I won't have to worry about it again. We're going to screw it together using good old JRK screws. I love these things. I wish they were around back when I was building cabinets and stuff like that, because these things are awesome. Love these screws. So we're going to screw it all together. One reason we're going to screw it all together is it's kind of easier, to tell you the truth, than holding it and pounding in a nail if you have a nail gun, you know. And if you ever want to take it apart, you can take it apart. So that's the main reason. It's a well house. So if ever you have to have well work done, you at least got to take the top off. You know, and more than likely you're going to have to take the top and the sides off anyway. So I'm going to try to build it pretty modular. So 4 sides and a separate roof. And then hopefully I don't over-engineer the roof so it weighs 4,000 pounds. So me and my son, we can just pick it up and put it on there, run a screw in it, and it's done. It'll stay. So that's the plans. It'll be reverse board and batten on that. And then the roof, probably do black metal, because that's what's going to be on this roof. So I'm going to borrow from some of the 2x4s that I've been buying for the roof up front, or for the roof on the shop, I should say. Excuse me. And we'll get this knocked out. So the main part of it is 5 foot by 6 foot. We're going to make it 6 foot tall. So it'll probably have I don't know, 5.5, whatever from the top plate. I'll put a double top plate in on the top, and then whatever that opening is going to be, 3 foot wide by however tall. So 6 foot less blah, blah, blah is going to be the size of the door. I'll show you how I do that. I'll build everything square, and then probably put the plywood on it, and then I'll route it out, and then that piece that came out of that cutout will be the face of the door. So that's the way I do it anyway. I probably won't film every little step, so I've never done like a April Wilkerson style video where I just leave the camera running and then do all the editing at the end. There's a lot of just measuring work and stuff like that that's just, you know, and you don't want to watch people doing that unless you need it explained. But some of the particular things like routing out the door, why I'm doing the things the way I'm doing, I'll stop and I'll put that in there like that, just to explain it. Like I have a woodworking shop in the back. Matter of fact, it's twice the size of this shop. So you don't see it very often because it's just messy. We don't do a lot of woodworking back there, especially during the summer, because it's just hot. It's 90 degrees here today on Sunday morning, probably 10 or 11 o'clock. The back of the shop's about the same temperature. So the front of the shop is 72 degrees right now. Air conditioner's blowing right at me. So it feels good up here, but the back's hot. And the main reason I haven't put air conditioner back there is the dust collector's back there. And I have a 14-inch pipe that runs, or 16-inch pipe that runs down the main part of the roof in the attic. So, I mean, you turn the dust collector on and it sucks every bit of air you got out of there. If you do spray work in the spray room, the filtration system blows the air outside. So there again, you're sucking all the air outside. So haven't put air conditioner back there yet. Not saying that we won't. It'll just have to be way more than what I have up front. It has to overcome that twice the size for one thing, and the dust collector and the spray room. So, but we want to make more videos, stuff back there. You know, my work before I went to work for Daimler Trucks was an architectural woodworker. We did a lot of fancy woodworking, and I to this day still love doing that stuff. The problem is, IKEA came along, and not a lot of people know about that stuff, and the people that want that stuff sometimes not willing to pay what it takes to do that kind of work. So, I'd still do a little here and there. So, people need some special stuff or very fancy mantles or stuff like that. But I have some tricks that I use to take the labor rate way down. So I'm gonna show you. I'll show you some stuff like that. But for now, the well house is the main thing right now. And the main reason I'm doing that is I want to upgrade some of the stuff inside the well house. Probably put a dual tank setup in there, upgrade the size of the lines that are in there. Somebody, when the house was originally plumbed, they ran a 1/2 inch pipe out here. I since upgraded that a long time ago to 3/4 inch PVC, and all the well stuff was done in 3/4 PVC. So I want to redo all that. I'm gonna probably put 2-inch stuff in there. And the main reason is I don't want any friction loss going to where I want to put PVC pipe. So at the front of the house, I'm going to put irrigation pretty soon, and I don't want any friction loss in the PVC pipe. So I'm going to run big pipe out there. It's inexpensive to buy the pipe at the beginning and put it in. You're going to have to dig a trench anyway. Might as well put a bigger pipe in there, so you reduce your friction loss. You still have a good volume of water. You're never going to gain pressure, but you'll have a good volume of water, and you won't lose any pressure due to the friction loss in the small pipe. So that's just a trick from firefighting. Big hose is good. So we're going to do that, and I just want to upgrade the pipes in there. And another thing with wells, the thing that ruins wells, or the pump anyway, is the constant cycling. So if you click it on, it clicks on. If it stays on, you're good. It's just like any other electric motor. You can let it run. It's that clicking on, clicking off. Use it for 2 minutes, click on for a minute, click off. You want it to cycle, even if it runs an hour, it's way better than clicking on every minute. So we're probably going to put 2 tanks in there and have them run in series, so the cycle time is longer and it doesn't click on as much. So, I'm not worried about it with the sprinklers, because we'll size all that to a set PSI. So once it clicks on, it stays running, and it doesn't drop in pressure, it doesn't raise in pressure, it just stays at that pressure. And then on the house side of it, I'll put a 35 or 40 PSI regulator and just leave that on there. So any pressure from the switch to make it 40, 60, where you have that little pulse, and your bladder tank does a lot of that, but we're going to put a regulator on there just so you don't have that pulsing inside the house. So that's the plans. So let's get with it.
All right, so we grab our 2x4s that we've already cut in the back of the shop, and we start laying them out. We place the bottom plate and the top plate together and line them up on the end, and going from one direction only, we start laying it out. So I'm laying out the walls for the door right now. So we found the center of it, and then I marked where the stud would go and what you would typically use a king post. But since the height of the door is going to be the total height, it's not really a king post, it's just a double top plate. A double stud. So then you just use a speed square and transfer all your marks, and then I usually just write a letter on one end of it, and so I know which end goes where, and just continue to lay out the walls. So we'll do this for all 4 walls. Of course, the ones without the door is much easier to lay out. These are the short sections of the sides, so they're laid out same way. Mark 12-inch or 16-inch centers and go to town on it. Stack them up to the side, and then we'll figure out how many studs we need to cut, and grab the 2x4s and head to the back of the shop. So the back of the shop, like I said, is not air conditioned. I do have a huge table in the back here. I really like it, but it's being so hot, we just decided to take it all to the front of the shop to build it since it's air conditioned. And all I did was on the right hand side, I set a stop board up at 6 feet. So we cut the board sort of to rough length, and then I put it up there and trimmed the edge square and then push it down to the left side where I have a stop at. And you can see my stops are in the way, but what I do, and you'll see it when I get a little closer shot here, is I'll put my hand between the fence, and the lumber to kind of space it out that distance there. So we trim the end, turn it over, and do it again. And you'll see here where I put my hand in there just to kind of act like a spacer. Nothing wrong with that. Keep it away from the blade. You know my rule of thumb, keep it out of the yellow. So you're out of the yellow, you're a good 1.5 inches away from the blade. So, and it's just rinse and repeat. Cut or trim, cut the length. Trim, cut the length. And then we go back to the front of the shop where it's a crisp 74 degrees, and we finish this out. So we'll get all the screws put in, which I'm using number 10 4-inch GRK screws. Love these things. They're plenty big enough. They don't tear the ends of the grain out too bad, and they don't split the wood at the ends. But if they do, you just start it at a little more of an angle, and just stay away from the end. But the 4-inch, they hold really, really well. Really prefer using the screws over the nails. So it's just more laying out. Grab the lumber, stick it up, screw them in, stand them up, keep on going. Also, that 20, I have a couple 12-volt DeWalt drills and impact drivers that I've used for years. And recently, when I started doing the roof, the 12-volt batteries just didn't last. And driving those number 10 screws in, takes its toll on that. So we got to upgrade it to the 20-volt, and I love it. So so far everything's been done with one battery. So we'll see how long it lasts. I switch them out pretty regular. I usually don't let them go completely dead. It's just, I hate switching batteries. So every time I grab the tool, I just grab a new battery for it. And, I've always got a good battery. So we'll continue on. We'll get these 4 sections done, stood up, and then we'll see where we're at. We'll probably end this video, and then we'll concentrate on the roof. So that's a little more layout involved in that one.
Let me turn down Adam for a minute. Let me swing you around here so you can get a gist of the size of this thing. So this is it, the back wall and one of the side walls. I just put one screw in it temporary to hold it up. I already see where I made a mistake in my layout, so this is what I wanted to tell you. If you have the inside wall and you're putting 4-foot plywood on it, make sure you remember for this 3.5 piece right here. So I didn't. So I'm lucky though, because I'm going to put 6-inch trim boards on the corner. So that's will easily cover up that joint. So I'll just put a scrap piece in here to fill that void from where the plywood siding is, or whatever the siding is going to be. So we're not sure if we're going to do board and batten or we're going to do the reverse board and batten plywood. So, but just a quick thing, if you're going to use plywood and you're not going to have wide corner boards on here, make sure you account for this 3.5 or whatever your stud size is going to be. So I'm going to build the other 2 walls and then stand them up, and I'll bring you back. We'll take a look at it then. And then we start working on how we want to do the roof, which is going to be a separate piece, so it can just be lifted off, 3 or 4 guys or whatever, lift it off and put back on here. So we'll build a square base, just probably 1/2 inch over this size, and trim it out so it's just one separate piece. So that's where I want to do it, to keep everything so it's easy to take apart. That's the main thing. So, we'll do our corner boards, we'll build them as one piece, and then we'll screw it on from the outside. So if you ever have to take it apart, you just take the corner boards off, unscrew the screws on the inside, and you can either just fold it out of the way or tote it out of the way, however you want to do it. That's what our plan's going to be anyway. So, and the reason I went 16 on center here, didn't have to. 2 foot would have been nice, but 16 inches, use regular old bad insulation. Or, if you want to cut the 2-inch foam, you could put in here. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, so one of the two. Bad insulation might tear up over time, and foam might be plenty. So we'll see. Anyway, let me build the other 2 walls, and I'll bring you back. All right, so this is the last wall. So we're just tacking them in place for right now, so we can get the let's do a little better than that. Might have to get a clamp. No, that'll do. So don't pay attention to these long screws right here. I thought I had some 2.5s, but I definitely don't. So we're gonna go to Lowe's or hardware store and get some 2.5s. So don't worry about them. I'll take them out. And you don't want to do that. It's a safety hazard. These GRK screws are sharp on the end, and you put your hand on it, you're gonna have to get a Band-Aid. So one screw without any threads in it, or a bit holder, Torx head cut into it. All right, so there we go. That's it. So this is the back wall, and that's the front wall. I have a door in the front of it, 32-inch door. So we got all this laid out now. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. When you're laying something out there, you know, and then you actually get it built. I might have to get my wife out here just to verify this is what we're going to do. But anyway, I like it. It's plenty of room. It gives the well guy or me, who's ever going to have to work on this thing in the future, plenty of room. So, you know, we'll probably go ahead and, since there's 220 volts run out to the well from here anyway, it's not but maybe 50 feet. I think I'm going to put a junction box in there just so I can get some 110 also. And if I need to upgrade the wire, you know, I might do that when we dig in the water lines. We'll go ahead and run another ditch while I got the thing here and run a heavier gauge wire out there. My rule of thumb, and you know, I've heard other YouTubers say it too, and I've always done it too, that if it calls for 14, run 12. If it calls for 12, run 10. It costs you a little more up front, but man, you know, everything's made now to bare minimum specification, so you're better off, you know, using better stuff. So we'll do that. You know, if that looks like if it has any sketchy written in, you know, if it looks sketchy to me at all, we're going to run new wire. And then that way I'll have 110 out here, and we go ahead and run 220 to the thing and have a separate cutoff at the well instead of having to run back and forth from the shop. So what else? I'm going to get my wife out here, and then we'll start on the roof. So I'll cut the video short right there. That might be long enough for a video anyway, but we'll see. Let me get her out here. Be back.